Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video. So y'all already know what's going on. Now, y'all already know some of this stuff that's been going on with Jay-Z that's been trending in the news lately, right? Of course, this comes from him being connected with Diddy back in 2000 or the early 2000s, and his name being involved with an underage female. And his name being involved with an underage girl, right? So we already know what that article detailed. And I think it was filed through the lawyer who's been filing a bunch of new cases against Diddy, right? A lot of stuff been coming out lately. There's, I got a couple of videos lined up that are similar to the topic that we're about to touch on with Jay-Z. Y'all know this has been going crazy lately, especially this entire year leading up to the new year of 2025. A lot of stuff is being exposed, and rightfully so. So expect another good video this Sunday. Y'all already know we drop a video every Sunday regardless. We got some things to cover, right? So in this video, I got two clips I want to show y'all. One of them comes from an ex-NFL player, Larry Johnson. Some of y'all may know who Larry Johnson is. He was a very good NFL running back. And once, he retired, he was done with the NFL. He started exposing a lot of stuff about the industry, Freemasons, numerology, the Baphomet, all the stuff we talk about on the channel or people talk about in this community of truth and exposing the elites. Yes. He was once behind the curtains. He was in the NFL. He took some kind of oath at one point. He was really good friends with Jay-Z and Beyonce. This wasn't just a person who, was in pictures or just around him. He was actually really good friends. I think it went as far as him actually living with Jay-Z at one point. I'm not sure how far that extends, but he was a very close friend to Jay-Z. So, some of his insights are very worth listening to, and I think y'all will find this clip to be very interesting if you haven't seen it, right? So in this video, man, we're not gonna make it too long, but we're gonna jump down the rabbit hole of the things that's been going on with Jay-Z lately, right? So with that being said, y'all, look, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this clip, get the video rolling. Check this out.
When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there, and he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play, and after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there, and I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework, but she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild, like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me. So when I hear something like this happens, I can't really discount it and say, oh, he could never do this, because I'm hearing stories, I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and I've been in situations where something don't sound or look right, and it's usually involving children.
Larry, you've just blown my mind, and so I'm going to have to ask you to, I just want to be clear on what I just heard. In 2006 or 7,
yeah,
you're in Colorado at a winter party with Jay-Z and the people with Rock Nation. And
it was the people who helped out with the photo shoot. It was a winter campaign that we shot. Mm-hmm.
And it's at some very nice mansion somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, up in the mountains somewhere.
and Beyonce is sitting relatively close to you, and there's a child there. And,
Yes.
and this is after 11 o'clock at night. And she says, "Doesn't this look sexy?" Beyonce, the singer.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Yes. Yes.
And the reason why I believe you, I'm not going to put a name to this. The reason why I believe you is like they get you out there and they float little test bubbles out there to see if you bite. It's like going fishing. Does the bob, did I get a nibble? Did the bobber go down? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not going to name names, but it was a prominent sports media figure that I had a social gathering at my apartment in downtown LA, Apex building. Probably 20 people inside my apartment. And someone tried to engage me in a conversation about, can't you understand why older men find 14 and 15-year-old women attractive? And I was like, no, I really can't. And then they followed back up, and I was like, and then I just walked away, and I made a mental note like, hey, this person is on some different shit, quite frankly. And I was like, and I kept, and it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me. And you know, I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details. But it was just like a test, and I can remember like, yeah, I just failed that test. And so whatever they got going on out here in LA, and they trying to figure out if they can get me in some kind of conversation about whether I was attracted to 14 and 15-year-old women, I just failed that test. So I don't think you're lying or exaggerating. I think that is real out there in Hollywood. It's part of the reason why I left Los Angeles. And Larry, to me, it's like you've watched the Godfather 2 movies, Mafia movies. And what the music industry in Hollywood is much like the Mafia. It's like the Sopranos in terms of you can't become a made man until you killed somebody in the Mafia. You gotta make your bones, and it sounds to me in Hollywood and in the music industry, if you want to make it to the top, you must be involved in some sort of sexual deviancy before and they must know about it before they fully trust you. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree, because we all know how shameful it is to be messing around with a child, no matter what the age. And they know that the majority of the people in this country or in this world do not sit by and will not let anybody abuse children. So that's more of a shame thing they can control you with. Now, sacrificing somebody, that's personal. You know, not many people can add those or connect those dots of who did what and who did this, but it happens. But when it comes to sexual deviancy, as you said, it's more of we don't want the whole world to know what you've really been up to, so you have to do what we say do. And I think that's how they move. And like you said, I think it's like putting a worm on a hook. They see who bite. They're not gonna come up to you and say, hey, you like 5-year-olds? They're not gonna do that because you look at them weird, or you might just punch them in the mouth. But they'll put you in situations where if young children are around, they'll move you into it. It may not be a 5-year-old, but it'll start at a 19-year-old at a party. It'll go from a 15-year-old at a party. Then you show up at somebody's private home and residence, and it's like a 9-year-old. And then they keep going to see how far you can go. And I don't want to imagine it, but I know they're going as far as they can go until they get into animals. And I know when it comes to sexual deviancy and it comes to lust, there is no backstop to that until you reach an animal. And that's where, if we talk about the days of Noah, that's exactly where sexual deviancy ends up. It ends up with animals.
Now, what makes this stuff interesting, especially about Jay-Z, because, you know, it's not the first time he's been on the rumor mill of messing with underage girls. So even in that clip they were using underage women. And, you know, let's make it clear, they're not women, they're underage girls. But we already know in this world, Jay-Z is not a stranger to these talks, right? I've done a video or two where we talked about Jay-Z and Foxy Brown, where we've obviously talked about Jay-Z and Aaliyah and Dame Dash and that whole, you know, thing with R. Kelly that was going on when she was basically underage. She was a teenager. I think he got with her. They all was, in a sense, dating her. Jaguar Wright has a really bold clip where she talks about.
But he didn't show up as Jay-Z. He didn't show up as the hottest rapper on the street. He showed up as the nigga that was with Big L.
Rest
For
in
those
peace.
of you.
Rest in peace, Big L.
Rest in peace, Big L.
One of the
That was the
dopest. One of the
sensei.
dopest. Yes.
Big L was who put Jay-Z on.
Without question.
And then Big L died, and then the next thing you know, Jay-Z. And then, you know, he starts clienteling with Tupac and clienteling with Biggie and doing songs with Biggie and building a working, you know, camaraderie with Honeycombs and AKA Diddy. Like I said, Biggie died, Tupac died, and then there was the fight between who was the top rapper now, Nas and Jay-Z, and then the next thing you know, Nas has a nervous breakdown and he's taken out of the game, and it's all Jay-Z.
And it's all Jay-Z.
It's all Jay-Z. And he was working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both fucked Aaliyah. They shared so much in common. You know? And then there was a falling out. And that's like it never happened. Whoever talks about best of the both worlds, best of both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That nigga swept that smooth under the rug.
Why?
We know why.
Jay, Dame, R. Kelly, Aaliyah. So we mentioned Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. Of course, Foxy Brown, she denies those claims just because of her status and, you know, probably doesn't want anything else coming her way. But she was very young when she, you know, was rumored to be messing with Jay-Z, 14, 15 years old. Beyonce was also very young, 14, 15, maybe even 16, I'm not sure, but still a teenager, very, very young. And of course, all of these people's parents, uncles, aunties allowed this stuff to happen in the name of growth in the industry. Now, he said he was at some kind of little Rock Nation party, whatever was going on, you know, and he put it in the terms of how a Diddy party is. Once it hit a certain time of night, dancing, loud, drinking, maybe smoking, whatever, and a bunch of little ones come out of nowhere. He said they came out of nowhere. You don't know where they from. You know, they must have had them in a room or something, waiting for it to hit 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Boom, a bunch of kids come out of nowhere. And Beyonce is talking to the kids. Now, he's, you know, conveniently says that once the alcohol got a hold of him, he left. You know, that's left up to be, you know, determined if he's telling the truth on that part. But he says he left and that he heard Beyonce say something that was pretty wild. But at the time, you know, it didn't recognize because he wasn't really woke the way that he was now. But anyone knows that, you know, a bunch of kids being at a party like that is completely foul. You know, you may not actually know what is about to happen, but you pretty much have an idea. You know, it even makes you think about Allie Carter and all the stuff that she's been talking about since she's like broke the internet as far as being a party favor at a very young age to these parties. So you can only imagine how many of these underage girls at the time have a very similar story, you know, whether it's been heard or not or published and put out on the internet. But they were facing basically the same fate of a lot of of a lot of other young girls. Either way it goes, it's interesting to note because, like I said, it's not the first time we've heard stuff come out against Jay-Z. So to think it's far-fetched, you know, I probably wouldn't take it that far, because it's very possible that he is just as involved in all of this stuff that Diddy was. You bring in underage girls, you know, then you cross an entirely different line. But considering, you know, his history, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. And it's also something to note that was very important what they were talking about, which I have a completely different video where we're going to go in on this topic, was, you know, them talking about sexual deviance and how, you know, you mostly are tested in that world. You know, it gets younger and younger. You meet a 19-year-old, you may meet someone who's under the age of 16, then it may go even younger. And then he was talking about, you know what, after that, you're still craving more and more and more. So eventually it goes to animals, you know, bestiality, the days of Noah, so on and so on, right? There is a sickness inside of people that eventually wants them to crave younger and younger and younger. You know, a lot of that stuff goes back to porn. A lot of it goes back to the things that you ingest into your temple, into your soul, you know, into the, you know, the portals of your mouth and your ears. You know, a lot of that stuff has to do with that. The things that you watch, the things that you invite into your life, and then it eventually creates this thirst for younger, younger, younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a different video we're going to do on that topic, but it all relates to this because we're talking about people who are interested in younger, younger, younger. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's sick, but it starts from somewhere, you know, and it's just like anything else. Once something is not that kick for you no more, it doesn't solve what you're craving. Eventually, you want something else that's a little stronger. In this case, they want something else that's a little younger, because the mind keeps wondering, it keeps wanting it, you know, it wants to see what it's like this young, what it's like that young, and it's sick. It's very fucking sick.
Because they're in a bond, because see, Jay-Z's not gay. I'll use him as an example. He's not gay, but once you reach a certain level within that weapon of mass destruction, you have to give something up. So now you have a rapper who will get turned out by a high-ranking label exec because, well, what you gonna do? I mean, if I want to be a rapper and I walk in and the label exec tells me that this is what I need to do for him because, hey, he put my album on when I really wasn't that talented, but they pushed me because they saw that I was something that they could sell. So when you bring me in a room and there's my favorite rapper right there who's in the same room, so that must mean he must have committed the same gay act as I did. So at the end of the day, depending on where your level is within yourself, you go do it. And it's easy for those of us to sit back and say you wouldn't do it. But the majority of us, and I know it's going to be kind of harsh, but the majority of us will never fulfill our dreams. So we'll never be in a position to say what we would or would not do. You understand what I'm saying? We'll never be in that position. Because before I got there, I would say the same thing until I got there. You understand? So I literally lived the devil taking me to the mountain and saying, you can either go to the left, you can have all of this. And I was there. It was ritualistically done. The vice president sent his right-hand man to me 3 straight weekends. They do everything in threes. 3 weekends in a row. Hey, D-Brad, let's go hang out. And every weekend, he kept beating me in the head. Get rid of this Rap City, man. You can do more than Rap City, D-Brad. You can do more than that. You need to come with us. Then the 3rd night, it was the vice president's birthday. They picked me up in a long white stretch limo. We go to Joe's Uptown, up in the Bronx in New York. We go to Joe, we hanging in VIP. Get me everything I want. Then every time we hung out, it was the same way. Then they bring me to the back room. And in the back room, they have this long table with a white sheet set out. I mean, beautiful thing. Looked like the damn Last Supper. On one end is Derek Jeter. There's Stephon Marbury. There's Fat Joe. And I'm chilling. But the whole night, the vice president is on me like this. I'm trying to talk to the model chicks. He's like, nah, D-Brad, come on, sit right here. So then we party. But I'm not a drinker. So if I don't get unnecessary spirits inside of me, we get inside the limo. He drops his right-hand man off quickly. We're in the car, the man standing across looking at me like I owe him something now. And I know the look because when I was young, I had the same look for women that I took out. So I know the look and I know the energy. And while he's doing that, he's sitting there with his legs spread open, rubbing his balls.